Huh? I play basketball. Yeah, Lisa. Lisa's my cousin.
Lisa, yeah, that's why.
He's also my cousin too. Rugged. Rugged. Rugged son.
Raggy Star?
Rugged son.
The one that lives on, right? His son.
Of the honey?
Yeah.
Is this from YouTube?
This YouTube and this Facebook.
Facebook? You're posting this everywhere. Madden, you're posting this everywhere.
Why don't you guys just like move from that wall? Just here, just come out here. I don't get what I wish I could just tear that wall down. Wallahi, it's like a pet peeve of mine. Like, what is it with the wall? We should start calling you guys Abu Jida, Abu Wall, right? Everybody has a kunya. Because you guys like the wall so much, we'll just call you Abu Wall. Alright? Everybody's on the wall. Alright, should we start, inshallah? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Okay, so we're talking about Shyetaan and his tricks. SubhanAllah, for someone coming across the topic, it might come across as if this is only pertaining to youngsters, to young women, to young men, to adolescents, to teenagers, but this affects everybody. This affects every human being alive. In other words, if you're a human being, irrespective of your age, of your status, of your position in society, you are hands down affected by the wasawis of the shaitan. And we all know from the very, very beginning that the shaitan, his number one enemy is who? Is Adam. And all of us are familiar with the story, but I will revise the story and revisit the story, inshallah ta'ala, just so it stays there and it sinks in with us. The main story that happened between Adam and Iblis is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided in his infinite wisdom to create someone made out of clay or mud, if you will. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam alayhi salam, there was jealousy that happened with Iblis. And so Iblis, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded all of the angels to prostrate for Adam, there was one person, one entity, one figure who reneged and rejected and did not find that a valid reason to prostrate for Adam. Because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is really generous and kind of Allah to even ask him, because he was disobedient. Now Allah has every authority and every right to discipline him, to punish him right there and then, right? I think we understand that. But Allah, I don't want to say uses democracy because that's ill-befitting, but Allah is still gentle and kind with Iblis. He asks him, he says, مَا لَكَ أَلَّا تَسْجُدَ إِذْ أَمَرْتُكَ. What prevented you, oh Shaitan, from prostrating after I commanded you to prostrate for Adam? Now I know some of you are probably asking right now, you're probably confused in a way, how is it that Allah is asking for Adam to prostrate for Iblis? In Islam we're taught only to prostrate for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That doesn't make any sense. I just want to remove that shubha. This is called sajda tashrif wa takrim. This is called the sajda of honor. For those of you who are familiar with the story of Yusuf, alayhi salam, when he came in and he saw his parents, what did he do for them? The first thing he did, he placed his parents, both of them, when they came back from Egypt at the end of the story, he placed them on the throne, right? And then they prostrated. Yusuf prostrated for his parents. Is that because Yusuf was obeying? Is that because he was worshiping his parents? No. It's called sajda tashrif wa takrim. It is out of honoring his parents that he prostrated for his parents. So at the time when Adam was first created, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the malaika to prostrate for Adam out of honoring and glorifying Adam alayhi salam. One decided out of all of the angels and out of the jinn, you had Shyetaan who reneged and did not see it as a valid. Now when he was asked about that, he said, and again this is very generous and charitable on behalf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to even what is it about this corner? I feel like all the homies are at this corner. I feel like I'm going to be looking like this way like 90% of the times, and I feel like that. Here, there's that space over here. Can I get two or three of you to be charitable and come on this side, please? Huh? Because I feel like I'm going to be looking that way most of the times. Okay, so Adam alayhi salam is created. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala breathes in Adam, and who gets jealous? You find that Shyetaan gets jealous of who? Of Adam. And the reason why, when he was asked, Allah asks him, why did you stay away from worshiping Adam, or excuse me, from prostrating for Adam? His answer was, Ana khayrun minhu. He says, we hear this today, I am better than him. You created me from fire, and you created and fashioned Adam from clay. Now, is this a valid reason? Because nowhere during that era, during that time, during that period, nowhere does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, does he distinguish and say that fire is better than clay. In other words, where does he get this mi'yar, where does he get it from? Who told Iblis that fire is better than clay? No one, right? But what pushed him? What pushed him to do that? It is arrogance, right? But it's also jealousy and envy. Right? So Adam alayhi salam, when Iblis did not prostrate for him, Iblis thought that he had to conjure up some lame excuse. Okay? And we're going to come back to this later. But that's usually when people are confronted or they're cornered and they don't have a legitimate excuse, they're going to bring an excuse out of thin air just to justify their position. Are you guys with me? I'm going to repeat that one more time, because everything that happened during that time between Adam and Iblis is happening today, but just through a different lens. The same approaches are happening, except it's just a different way. So Iblis, he didn't have a legitimate answer. Did he say because I was envious?
No.
Did he say because I was jealous?
No.
Because that'll make him look even more worse. That'll make him look really bad, right? What did he say? He says, no. I didn't want to prostrate for him because fire is more valuable than clay. In essence, that's what he's saying. I want to open up a quick bracket, and I know I'm very good at this. Opening up brackets. How many of you believe that the definition of a believer is someone who simply believes in God? Because I see this so much on the internet, and I see this so much across so many other websites, where people will say anybody who believes in God is a believer, technically, and they're going to heaven. Is this true?
No.
Okay, because definitions in Islam are very, very important, right? Ta'rifat, and I'm going to be following here. Ta'rifat in Islam, a definition has to be jami' mani'. It has to be inclusive but excluding at the same time. I know this might come off as a bit difficult. You have Muslims today who will say that anybody who believes in God is a believer. So Christians, do they believe in God? Yes. So according to these Muslims, they're believers. Jews, do they believe in God?
No.
So according to these Muslims, they'll say that no, Jews and Christians are believers because they believe in God. Why? Because their definition of a believer is anybody who believes in God. Now the problem with that is, does Iblis believe in God?
Yes.
Now does that make Iblis a believer? Hell no. Hell is not a bad word, by the way. If you're at work, oh my God, stop for a while, bro. No, hell is not a bad word. But, because Iblis in the Quran, on many occasions he says, قال ربي أنظرني إلى يوم يبعثون. قال ربي فبما أغويتني لأزينن لهم في الأرض ولأغوينهم أجمعين. Iblis himself believes in God. Iblis believes in God. So if we were to say that anybody who believes in God is a believer in the formal sense, then by that definition, Iblis will come under that definition, right? But is that legitimate? Is that coherent? Does that make sense? No. So a definition of who a believer is in the formal sense cannot be anybody who believes in God as a believer. You guys with me? Okay. So I'll give you an example. Isa alayhi salam, when they were talking about the taghut in the Quran, they said, what is a good definition for a taghut? In other words, they said, anybody who's obeyed or worshipped other than Allah. When some scholars later on came and found that the taghut is anybody, when it's defined anybody who's worshipped other than Allah, can any of you think of someone who's worshipped other than Allah? Jesus, right? Are we to say Jesus is a taghut?
No.
Do you guys get where I'm going with this? Definitions are very, very important. Because if you were to say anybody who's worshipped other than Allah is a taghut, then under that definition, under that classification or category, we can say that Jesus fits well under this category, right? But is Jesus a taghut?
No.
No. So ulama came later on and they said, no, we have to change the definition of what a taghut is. They said, كُلُّ مَنْ عُبِدَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ بِرِضَاهِ. They added the word بِرِضَاهِ. They said, no, the definition has to change to anyone who's worshipped other than Allah by their consent. Was Jesus worshipped by his consent?
No.
So does Jesus now fit under this definition?
No.
So is Jesus a taghut?
No.
No. So that's why definitions are important. Okay, now going back to us. Who's a believer? That it's very clear in the hadith, and it really surprises me as to why many Muslims are confused on this subject, right? Because the first hadith that all of us know, Bunya Islam ala khams, Islam is built on 5 pillars. The first one is?
Shahada.
Okay. Here's what the definition of a Muslim/believer is. The first pillar of Islam is to believe there's no God worthy of worship except Allah, right? What's the second pillar?
Salah.
Salah.
Prayer.
Y'all ain't following me. What's the first pillar?
Shahada.
What's the shahada? The shahada is comprised of 2 sub-pillars. This is important, everyone. The first pillar is comprised of 2 sub-pillars. What's the first pillar? To bear witness there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah, and
Bear witness is the Prophet Muhammad is his
and
messenger.
Muhammad is the final messenger. If you don't believe that Prophet Muhammad is the final messenger, you are not considered a believer in the Islamic definition or the Islamic formal sense. You guys get where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Because someone might say, oh, I believe in God. Okay, but do you believe in Muhammad? I believe he was a nice guy. No. That's not enough. It's binding. You can't look at Muhammad as Confucius or as a great sage or as a great man of wisdom or as a reformer. No, you have to believe أنه مبعوث من قبل الله. You have to believe that Prophet Muhammad was sent and what he came with is binding on Judgment Day. It's not enough to say, well, because some non-Muslims you speak with, they'll say, well, I believe he was a good man. That's not enough. That's not belief. Belief is you believe that he is a messenger receiving revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that definition is very simplistic. You have to believe that there's no God worthy of worship except Allah. And that Muhammad is the final messenger. Are those 2 pillars or is that one? Those 2 sub-pillars make up 1 pillar. You guys get what I mean? So those are not 2 pillars. They're not 2 separate pillars. Okay? I just wanted to open that up because I find a lot of this confusion. I recently read on Twitter, someone sent me a Twitter, and it said, this is very funny. The sister was saying, another sister, she said, she was Muslim, she was saying, Jews and Christians they're actually believers. The Christian replied to the Muslim sister, said, we're actually not, we're actually disbelievers, according to you. Now the Christian was okay with that. But the Muslim sister was adamant. She's like, no, trust me, you guys are considered believers. It's like, man, would you just get a life? I mean, the Christian is okay with her not being a believer, and you're here trying to pound her. Yeah, and you're trying to just force her, no, you're a believer, trust me. Christian's like, I'm not a believer according to you. And the Muslim sister's just adamant, no, trust me, you're a believer. Just let things be. I mean, she's okay with it. Where's the issue? All right? So when we say believer, we're not talking about we treat them in a harsh way. We're not talking about that. Now, let us go back to Shyetaan, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what does he say in the Quran? He says, إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًّا إِنَّمَا يَدْعُو حِزْبَهُ لِيَكُونُوا مِنْ أَصْحَابِ السَّعِيرِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, indeed, Shaytan is an enemy, so take him as an enemy. In another verse, he says, يَا بَنِي آدَمْ أَلَمْ أَعْهَدْ إِلَيْكُمْ يَا بَنِي آدَمَ لَا تَعْبُدُوا الشَّيْطَانَ إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. O sons of Adam, including the daughters of Adam as well, Shaytan is an enemy, so take him as an enemy. Okay? Someone who's trying to trick you or deceive you, are they going to come and tell you that I'm your enemy? Be careful. Huh?
Nope.
If someone wants to trick you, if someone wants to deceive you, if someone wants to beguile and treacherous, right? Are they going to come and tell you, I want to harm you flat out in your face?
No.
Huh? They're not going to come and tell you that. And this is, I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knows best. This is exactly where, right? This is, I think, where a lot of the problems happen. I'll give you many examples, right? Today, the person who's truly looking out for your best interest, I feel really that my voice is subhanAllah. I can't do nothing about it.
It sounds good here.
Does it?
Yeah.
Are you using euphemisms?
It sounds like Morgan Freeman.
Sounds more like a female.
Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman.
Oh, Morgan Freeman. Oh, that's what's up. Okay. Okay. Today, and I really want all of you, because this has to do with like advertising and marketing and stuff like that, right? Today, your enemy is portrayed as your friend, and the person who's truly looking out for your best interest is portrayed as your enemy number one. And please give me your undivided attention. And I ask please to give me your undivided attention. Today, when you look on the internet, or you look at a lot of marketers, and they're marketing, they're trying to find a niche within the Muslim Ummah, especially the sisters, especially the women, right? So for example, you have a man, an imam, a khatib, a da'i, who is screaming at the top of his lungs, sisters, please, the Islamic hijab consists of A, B, C, D. Sisters, please, modesty is part of Islam. Sisters, please, out of love and compassion for you, it's not permissible to wear tight clothes. And the imam goes on and on and on, out of love and care and concern for the sisters, right? Or does he hate the sisters? Is it because he's a misogynist? Or is it because he cares about the sisters? Or because he cares about the akhirah? Okay. Now when you have a lot of these marketers, it is hard for them to find a niche within the Muslim category. So what they'll do is they'll find a lot of these the clothing, and they'll put it under the label of diversity. Under the label of diversity, right? They'll say, well, we're doing this, and then we'll put like a little fashion design mark on it, whether it be Gucci, Prada, or whatever it is. So you'll find that now the hijab under diversity, and I'm not picking on the sisters, and I hope we're beyond that. I really hope we're mature beyond that, right? They'll put these labels on there, the Gucci, the Prada, the Givenchy, the Michael Kors, you think of all these brands, they'll put it on there. So now they'll have this hijab, and it has these name brands on there. So now the hijab went from something that is not supposed to draw attention to something that is doing nothing but drawing attention. Now, those companies are embraced by a lot of our Muslim sisters. Why? Because they used another euphemism, which is called, celebrate diversity. Celebrate diversity, right? So they'll put a lot of these clothes, even though a lot of these clothes that they're trying to appeal to the Muslim sisters, the Muslim women, their audience, right? You'll find that a lot of it doesn't really comply or conform with the Sharia dress code that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed for women. Now, under diversity, the sisters will embrace these brands. They'll embrace these companies and they'll embrace these ads and they'll say, MashaAllah, you gotta go to Macy's. They got this new hijab out and girl, it is off the hook. Okay? Okay, well, what's next? Girl, these leggings, MashaAllah, they're like this size and that size, but it doesn't conform with the Islamic dress code. Now, I want to ask all you a question. The Imam, the Muslim Sheikh, Imam, Mullah, call him whatever you want. When he is screaming at the top of his lungs that this is not permissible, this is displeasing to Allah, is he the enemy or is he really concerned for the sisters? Okay. Now, the marketers in the stores and a lot of these outlets and fashion designers, are they really genuinely concerned for the sisters' akhirah? What are they worried about? Money. Okay. But do we really look at it this way? Because when we hear an imam talking like that, who the hell does this man think he is talking to me about my hijab? Who the hell does this guy, who does he think he is telling me how I should dress? Who is he? He should just worry about himself. Is this right or not? No. So who's the enemy? And who's the one who's really looking out for the best interests of our sisters? Is it the fashion designers or is it the Muslim sheikh who lacks all the wisdom, who is sucks at the approach, even though his approach is wrong? Let's assume he was yelling, had a high-pitched voice, but at the end of the day, who is really looking out for the best interest of our sisters? The fashion designers or is it the Muslim imam or sheikh?
Imam.
But how is it portrayed today? It's portrayed the other. This is tricky, y'all. This is real. These marketers, how they get away with this is they'll say, we're celebrating diversity. So the Muslim sister thinks that, oh, mashallah, they got this new hijab, sister. They're actually appealing to us. They're doing all this because of us. So they think it's out of honor. But in reality, sister, they don't care about you. They don't care about your akhirah. Do you know what they are in stores for? What they're really after? Your money. They're not worried about what kind of hijab you wear and if it's tight, if it's see-through, if it's attracted all the attention. They ain't worried about that. Under the slogan of diversity. But then the imam says something about it and says that that's not right, that's displeasing to Allah. It creates a lot of fitna. And oh my goodness, it's done. A brother recently went to, I'm not going to call the university by name. He went to a university and he gave a lecture about hijab. The sisters went in to the people in charge and said, we don't want this brother ever back here again. Because he's talking to the sisters about hijab. Before it was, say it nicely, say it in a nice way, just don't be yelling and screaming. Now we're beyond that. That's something of the past. Now it's, don't you dare open up your mouth and talk about us. You're not a woman, you can't relate to us. You don't know our struggle, so don't you dare talk about hijab. This is where we're at. But again, who's the real enemy here? Is it the fashion designers or is it the imam?
The designers.
The imam, do you know why the imam or the preacher, if he actually has enough courage to actually talk about this and bring it to light, do you know why he's yelling and screaming?
For care.
Because our decisions have consequences in the akhirah. When he gets up there, he's not getting anything out of it. He's not getting any money out of it. But who is getting money out of it?
The designers.
Who?
Companies.
The companies. I get nothing out of it. When I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, sisters, that's too tight. Sisters, that's not permissible. Sisters, this and that. Oh, I become enemy of state number one. What the hell did I do? Like, I'm just curious, like, what wrong did I do? So it's important that you know who your real enemy is. I'm not the enemy here. The khatib, the imam, I'm not the enemy. I want to, number two. How can I put this in such a way that it's actually embraced, right? My voice is just shattered. Forgive me. Okay. Who was the first one to play the victim? Please,
Shyetaan.
I'm leaving tomorrow, so give me your undivided attention. And if this is coming out as bored, forgive me, I can't do much. Who was the first entity, the creation of Allah, that played the victim? Who?
Shyetaan.
You sure?
Sleep.
Is sleep? Is that Iblis' brother? No, Iblis. May Allah reward you. No, it's Iblis. That's a good try, right? See, we understand what he's trying to say. Okay. Listen, this is careful. This is real tricky, right? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala condemned and he answered the prayer of Shyetaan, because Shyetaan said what? قَالَ رَبِّ أَنظِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. Oh Allah, delay me for a delayed time. قَالَ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنظَرِينَ. Okay, you'll be delayed. And then Allah talks and he recounts the story of Iblis. Iblis later on says, قَالَ فَبِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي لَأَقْعُدَنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطَكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. This is so intriguing and remarkable. Shaytan didn't concede that did Shaytan have free will?
Yes.
Did he have free will?
Yes.
Okay. Shaytan says, قَالَ فَبِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي. Shaytan is playing the victim here. He says, my Lord, because you misled me, I'm now going to mislead your people. Is that true though? Was he responsible for his own actions, or is he now trying to project his shortcomings and his disobedience and his lack of responsibility on someone else?
The latter.
Is Shaytan assuming responsibility, or is he placing the blame on someone else for his disobedience?
Placing the blame on someone else.
Okay. Follow me. This gets real good. So Shaytan here didn't say, you know Allah, because I made a mistake, delay me and postpone my ajal until a later date. He's blaming Allah for his downfall. Is that right?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. The first one to play the victim, even though in the wrong, is who? Shaytan. Anytime you're in the wrong and you're playing the victim, you're doing nothing short of imitating Shaytan. When you're in the wrong and you're still playing the victim, you know what you're doing?
Imitating Shyetaan.
In essence, you're imitating Shaytan. Okay, this gets even better. When someone gives you, for example, and we talked about this, when someone gives you advice, and your nafs finds it difficult to take it in, right? Shaytan now is going to find every excuse to make you come out like this innocent dove, and the person giving you advice as enemy number one. Again, you remember the example, you come into the masjid with shorts above your knees, and that part is supposed to be covered. And a brother comes to you with respect, compassionately pulls you to the side in seclusion and said, brother, well, I just want to give you a piece of advice. It's not permissible for you to be, just exposing that or displaying that. Now, Shaytan comes into play. And Shaytan turns the person who's wrong, making a mistake, turns him into the victim, and the person given advice now as the aggressor. Who's in the wrong?
The person with the shorts.
We're not looking for people's faults here, but who's in the wrong? The one giving advice or the one wearing shorts under the ankle?
Don't wear
Under the knee.
The
The person, that's wrong, right? We all agree it's wrong. Shaytan now comes to the defense of this person's ego. Oh, you know what? I think they're looking for your faults. Oh, you know what? I think they're looking out. I think they're being judgmental. You know what? You see what happens when you come to the masjid? Shaytan is going to find each and every excuse why you shouldn't take that advice. It's rare. That's why I said last night, it takes a lot of maturity to say, you know what, sister? Wallahi, thanks for reminding me about the way I'm dressed. Sister, thanks for reminding me about my hijab. Jazakallah khair. Make dua for me that Allah rectifies my affair. It's rare to find people like that. Or for the brother to say, man, subhanAllah, I never knew that. I've been coming to the masjid with these short shorts before going to the basketball tournament for so long. I had no idea that I had to actually keep that covered. It's rare. Are there people out there who accept nasiha? Yes. So what does Shaytan? Shaytan, the step number 2 is he beautifies the haram for you. You know, I'm going to give an example that I gave last night just because of how important and relevant it is. You give a nasiha at the masjid, and all hell breaks loose. That sister talked to me about hijab. Who the hell does she think he is? You know what? It's because of people like that. I'm never coming back to the masjid, like on the real. And then the sister goes away for 5-10 years. She doesn't come back to the masjid. Why? Because a fellow Muslim sister gave her advice. Okay? Now, for those of you who weren't with us last night, let us imagine you got kicked out of a bar, of a club, of a gym, right? You're kicked out, you're spat on, you're thrown out, you're humiliated in front of everybody. Okay? The minute you're kicked out, you're already finding creative ways as to how you're going to get back in tomorrow from a different entrance or from a different exit. Am I lying?
No.
I've seen this happen. Brothers got kicked out of the gym, kicked out there, and then they'll go from around the back building and someone would open up the door so they can come in because they got into a fight. Right? Am I lying? I'm not lying, right? Okay, I'm keeping it real. Okay. My question is this. Look at how Shaytan gave us every reason, and he basically constructed a strong argument for us to never come back to the masjid. As soon as the sister or the brother gave you advice, you've already made the decision, I'm never coming back to this masjid. Why? Like Pak said, all eyes on me, right? Everybody's worried about what I do. Everybody's looking at my faults. That's the way Shaytan portrays it. You're the victim. You're the victim, right? And so you leave and you never set that foot back in that masjid for 5-6 years. Why is it though when you're kicked out of the gym, you're finding immediate ways to get back in? You know why? Because Shaytan doesn't care if you go to the gym. Shaytan doesn't care if you go to the bar. Shaytan doesn't care if you go to a club. Shaytan doesn't care if you're shopping at the mall for 5-6 hours. That's what he wants you to do. But he does care if you come to the masjid. Because when you come to the masjid, you're remembering Allah. Does Shaytan like it when we remember Allah?
No.
No. Shaytan is going to beautify for you, and he's going to construct so many strong arguments as to why it's probably better off that you never set foot back in that masjid again. And Shaytan is going to make you feel like you didn't do anything wrong. And the person that gave you advice is the aggressor and should have his head on the platter. How dare someone tells me that what I did was wrong? No one should do that. Why? They gave you advice. So, who's your enemy now? Is it the person who gave you advice, or is it I'm going to say this, forgive me. Is it the person who gave you advice, or is it your smelly ego? Your ego that stinks. Your ego that convinced you to not come back to the masjid again. Your ego that basically rode you instead of you riding on your ego got the best of you. Your ego convinced you that you should probably never come back to the masjid again.
Your ego.
There's nothing but judgment. There's nothing but judgmental people there, right?
Yeah.
Okay? And Shaytan now, who's enemy number 1? Shaytan beautified for you. The person who gave you nasiha is enemy number 1. Am I exaggerating or is this real?
It's real.
It's real. Because what did Shaytan tell Adam? After telling them, he says, وَمَا نَهَاكُمَا رَبُّكُمْ عَنْ هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ إِن لَمْ تَكُونَا مَلَكَيْنِ أَوْ تَكُونَا مِنَ الْخَالِدِينَ. Shaytan, this is so deep. I personally find it really deep. Shaytan is so smart. Shaytan is crazy at debating and putting these arguments in front of you. He says, the only reason why your Lord told you not to eat from the tree, O Adam and Hawa, is either of 2 options. Only because both of you are malakain, because both of you are either angels, or you're going to be eternal beings in this paradise. So in other words, Shaytan didn't just say, hey, eat from the tree and that's it. He constructed a beautiful argument for them, right? He's convincing them even more. I know why your Lord told you not to eat from the tree. It's very easy. Because either you're going to be eternal beings or because you're angels. That's it. So Shyetaan in this life, you're going to find he's always going to find valuable answers, valid answers. And what does Allah say in Surah Al-Araf? وَقَاسَمَهُمَا إِنِّي لَكُمَا لَمِنَ النَّاصِحِينَ. And he took an oath, I'm looking out for your best interest. What does your ego say when it took you out from the masjid? I'm looking out for your best interest. How dare someone give you advice? No one should ever give you advice because you're just perfect and you know it all and you're an angel. No one should give you, excuse my sarcasm, but that's what happens. Your ego found a way, a legitimate answer, and convinced you that you should not come back to this masjid. There's nothing but judgmental people there. فَدَلَّاهُمَا بِغُرُورٍ. And Shyetaan tells us that he deluded them. Or Allah, forgive me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says what? He says he deluded them into what? فَلَمَّا بَدَتْ لَهُمَا سَوْءَتُهُمَا نَدَاهُمَا رَبُّهُمَا فَقَالَ أَلَمْ أَنْهَكُمْ عَنْ تِلْكُمَا الشَّجَرَةِ وَقَالَ إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. Allah, when they disobeyed Allah, Allah called both of them. Did I not tell you not to go to that tree? And that Shyetaan was an outright open enemy for you. Now the response of Adam and his wife is remarkable. قَالَ رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا. Oh Lord, we wronged ourselves. Okay, the response of Adam when he disobeyed Allah is very different than the response of who? Of Shyetaan. قَالَ. When Allah approached them and said, why did you eat from the tree? I told you that Shyetaan was an open enemy. What was their response? Oh Lord, we wronged ourselves. Listen, for all of you who think you're the victim, just listen to this. Oh Lord, we have wronged ourselves. I admitted I'm wrong. Sister, I agree I shouldn't be wearing the hijab like this. Brother, I agree I should be praying 5 times a day. Adam and Hawa, both of them, they conceded. You're right. And they've acknowledged that they fell short of what? Of the glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Very different than Adam, right? Adam, when he was being held, when he was held accountable, what was his response? Shyetaan, what was his reply? He found an excuse, right? He found an excuse. I'm better than you. You know what this sounds like? Who are you to judge? You don't know what's in my heart? Are you the haram police? Why are you so judgmental? We're all sinners. Only Allah can judge me. That's basically a satanic reply right there. Is instead of acknowledging that you're wrong, that you fell short, you find an excuse to make yourself feel better. But you have to catch these. A lot of these arguments that Shyetaan puts forward, you have to catch it. You have to be above the game. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing more disastrous than being in the wrong and still playing the victim. Some people, they thrive on victimhood. For example, you find a person who goes to a job. Breath is kicking. Holy pants. Not holy isn't good. Holy like with holes in them, right? We're not talking about poor people. We're talking about people who, right? And then they go and they're slouched, right? They're slouching. And when the interviewer is giving them an interview, right? They're just respectful. They're not, you know what I mean? They're not dressed appropriate for the event. They're coming like a bar or a friend's house. So while being interviewed, they never get the job. And they go to each and every interview dressed that way. And they're just kind of slouching back like, yeah, I'm homophobic or whatever. No. Sometimes there are legitimate reasons why people don't hire you. But don't think every door that is closed in front of you, you all of a sudden go into your little victimhood turtle nest and you say, oh, you know what? I'm the victim. Everything is against me. So do not allow yourself to convince yourself that you're the victim always and forever. All right? Okay, so we talked about the diversity. Don't follow the footsteps of Shaytan. When you look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, when He talks about az-zina, does He say, don't commit zina? What does He say?
Don't come close.
Don't come near it, right? Allah, when He talks about the zina, He says, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا. Do not follow, do not get close to zina. Why doesn't Allah say, وَلَا تَزْنُوا? Why doesn't Allah say, don't fornicate? He says, don't get close to zina. Why also, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, when He talks to Adam and Eve, He doesn't say, وَلَا تَأْكُلَ. He says, وَلَا تَقْرَبَا مِنْ هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ فَتَكُونَ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. Don't get close to the tree. Why is that? Why doesn't He just say, don't eat from the tree? He says, don't get close to the tree. Don't get close to zina. Why is that? Why doesn't He say, hey, don't fornicate? He says, don't get close to fornication. You know why? I'll tell you why. Let's say there's a girl that you really like. Let's say there's a girl that you really like, you're attracted to, at school, at your neighbor, wherever. Shaytan is not going to tell you go commit zina. But the closer you get to that person, the more likely you are to fall into that sin. The closer you get to that person, the more likely it is that you're going to fall into that sin. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He told Adam and Eve, He says, don't get close to the tree. Why? Because when you get close to it, Shaytan is going to slowly and gradually keep whispering to you and saying, what? Just get close to it. You're not going to do anything harmful. You're not going to touch the tree. So when he touches the tree, what happens? You start pulling it off. And then Shaytan starts to whisper to you, hey, it's not a big deal after all. You guys get what I mean? It's not really a big deal after all. Just eat it. Your Lord is most forgiving. So when you start off, this is how it starts off. The girl that you like, Shaytan says, just go out and take a walk in the park. We're out in the open. It's not like, no, don't ever come over to your house or you go over her house. Are you crazy? Shaytan has that like godly, pious image, right? He's not going to say, go commit zina. Take her out, akhi. Out in the open. Don't hold her hand. That's haram. Shaytan is telling you, go out with her, take a walk in the park, but don't touch her hand. Okay? What happens later? You go out, you touch her hand. And Shaytan says, look, you're young. It's not like you're married. It's not like you're married and you're cheating on your wife. That's not a big deal after all. Just touch her hand. And she says, oh, mashallah, Brother Abdullah, you're so strong, right? And then you guys keep walking. And now Shaytan says, look, just put your arm around her. It's not the end of the world, right? You guys are in the park, nothing is going to happen. Okay? And then slowly but surely, look, she's a Muslim sister. And Islam teaches us that we have to be generous to our guests. So, why don't you invite her over to your house for a cup of tea? See how Shaytan comes. Because Shaytan will say, مَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَلْيُكْرِمْ ضَيْفَهُ. Because Shaytan, the Prophet ﷺ tells us, whosoever believes in Allah in the last day, you have to honor your guest. So now you have to honor your friend. So now you guys are at the house, you bring out the tea, the shake. One thing leads to another. You commit zina. What happens now? Shaytan at the very, very beginning, did he tell you that, man, you should commit zina with her and then just make istighfar? He doesn't do that. Shaytan tells you, look, you're young, you have nothing to lose, just take a walk in the park, it's innocent. Gradually, slowly but surely, you find yourself what? Committing the sin itself. But Shaytan is never going to come and tell you, commit the sin per se. Oh, just do this, just do that, just do this, just do that, until you find yourself where it's too late. And there's a story that happened not too long ago. Well, this is Bani Israel. Forgive me. And you know what's funny? What you got in there, man? You got some oil? No, you. What you got in here, man? Yeah. What you got? You know when people talk about ikhtilat, like when you talk about that, it's good to keep the genders segregated. People look at you like you're extreme, right? They look at you like you're extreme. It's subhanAllah, nothing's gonna happen. You men, you guys are just perverts. You guys need to get your mind out of the gutter. You guys need to have clean minds, and you guys can be around women. You just have to control yourselves. It's very easy, right? I'm being sarcastic, of course. But the Sharia says, don't get close to zina. Because when you're not segregated, that is an invitation to what? That is an invitation to a bigger problem. Okay? And I mean the examples are a lot. Of the shaitan having you take little baby steps, right? So for example, if you have a problem, let's say with weed, drinking, do not go into certain communities and you know the guys who are selling weed on the block. Don't get close to that area. If you know that you're just weed and you have this kind of addiction, do not go to that area and say, look, you know what, I'm just gonna go visit and see my friends, but I'm not gonna buy any rocks today. I'm not gonna buy a dime sack. I'm not gonna buy none of that, right? You end up going to that neighborhood and you were sober for a while, and what happens next? You end up going to the person on the corner store and you're buying a dime sack. And what does Shyetaan say? Bro, it's just, make tawbah when you get married. But for now, just puff, puff, pass until you puff, puff, pass, and pass out. That's what happens. You puff, puff, pass until you puff, puff, and pass out. Now, when you look at drug addicts, when you look at drunkard people, I have yet to meet someone who became a drunk or who became a crack addict, and at the very beginning of their trying out with a lot of these substances, they were asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? Man, if everything goes right and goes my way, I want to be the world's foremost crack addict. So wish me the best. Do people do that? No. I'm not making fun of people. But you got to understand the footsteps of Shyetaan, the tricks. Or a person who's drunk, who lost his wife, his kids, his job, his family, and became just crazy, hallucinating over the drugs. He never once thought in the very beginning that he's perhaps going to be the world's foremost drunkard. Because at the very beginning it started off as what? Oh bro, I'm just gonna take a joint. I'm just gonna hit this. Man, that is strong, bro. It is strong. It's strong for real, isn't it? But here's the thing though. That person who took the first puff, or that person that bought the rocks from the person on the side of the block, were they thinking someday that they're going to find themselves laying on the side of the street or killing another person because they were so desperate to get their hands on the drugs, on the substance? Did they think that someday they were going to be those people? Did they think that someday they were going to lose their jobs, lose their wives, lose their careers, lose everything that they worked for their whole entire life? It all started off innocent. Bro, I'm just going to take a sip. One sip leads to two sips leads to three. Slowly but surely, that person becomes a crack addict. I personally know people in Minneapolis who abused a lot of these substances, and they're in and out of rehab. They go in, they're sober, alhamdulillah, for a while, 5-6 months, and they fell again. Is it easier to never try that stuff and stay completely away from it, or to try it now and try later on and work later on quitting? What's easier?
The first. Never trying.
Don't convince yourself, even if it's smoking cigarettes, do not allow your nafs to convince you that I'm just going to take a hit. Because you know what? All these drug addicts, no one starts off with just gushing down 4 or 5 joints. No one starts off with like 5 rocks of meth. No one starts off like that. It's always a gradual thing. Oh, I'm just going to try it out. Next thing you know, you find them in rehab, out of rehab, this and that, and it never stops. It never stops. Okay. I want to go back quickly to Adam and Shyetaan. Adam Did he give any excuses when Allah held him accountable? Did he play the victim?
No.
Did he play the victim?
No. No.
When Allah told him, why did you eat from the tree? Did Adam offer alibis such as, oh Allah, you knew this was going to happen?
No.
Did he say, oh Allah, we had no idea how creative Shyetaan was? He beat us in this one. But Allah, you knew this was going to happen. Did Adam do that?
No.
Did Adam or Hawa, did either one of them, did they offer any excuses or alibis as to why they made the mistake? No, right? What did Shyetaan do? Shyetaan offered an alibi, right? He says, I'm better than him. But Adam and Hawa, both of them, when Allah held them accountable, they simply said, oh Allah, we wronged ourselves. I've always had respect for people that when given advice, they admit that they're wrong and say, brother, please make dua for me. I know I'm falling short. I've always had nothing but love and respect for those people. But the people that I just seem to never understand are people who are going towards a brick wall at 80 miles an hour, and then they still look at you like you're the problem. And of course, this is definitely the whole lot of Shyetaan without a shadow of a doubt. Now, okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He talks about a man who ended up prostrate to Shyetaan. Allah says, كَمَثَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِذْ قَالَ لِلْإِنسَانِ اكْفُرْ فَلَمَّا كَفَرَ قَالَ إِنِّي بَرِيءٌ مِّنْكَ وَإِنِّي أَخَافُ اللَّهَ رَبَّ الْعَالَمِينَ. And Allah gives the parable of the person who ended up committing kufr. When the Shaytan told him, ukfur, commit kufr. And you know what the story is about? The story is about the rahib, Barsis. It's of the story of Bani Israel in the past, where this man was a rahib, he was worshipping Allah, he was a monk, he was a spiritual leader in his own community for 40 years. Slowly but surely he got close to this woman, right? What he ended up doing is, he ended up committing zina with this woman. Later on, it doesn't stop there. He got her pregnant. After getting her pregnant, he said, well, what are you going to do? You got her pregnant. The whole community is going to know about you. And Shaytan is slowly but gradually getting him to commit kufr. So after that, he says, well, what are you going to do now? SubhanAllah. Shaytan convinced this man to commit murder and to kill the woman. So now, he first committed zina, got her pregnant, and after both, what he ended up doing at the end is he killed the woman. Why did he kill her? So no one finds out later that there's a child, and who's the father? The monk or the spiritual leader. You with me? But Shaytan didn't tell him in the beginning, like, hey, you're probably going to end up killing her? No. He said, no one knows. Their brothers, she had 4 brothers. A few of the brothers saw this in a dream, that the monk ended up killing who? Killing their sister. Shaytan told the man, I know there's something that you can do, that if you do it, what happens? Your problem will be solved. Okay? All you have to do is prostrate for me. This man prostrates for Shaytan, and Allah takes his life away. He dies on kufr, literally for prostrating for Shaytan. You know when you think you're just going to go rob a house? Listen. You think you're just going to go rob a house? You think you're just going to creep through the back window and someone sees you? Someone's videotaping you when you walk out? All you wanted to do is get your hands on a Rolex watch, on a camera, on a phone, on some jewelry. You leave the backyard and someone sees you there and is taping you with your phone. That's not gonna fly well. So what do now? You pull out your pistol and you end up shooting the person who's videotaping you, so you can take that phone and you can delete it, so now no one knows who came in. You came with the intention of taking a few dollars here and there because you're broke and you can't keep a job. I mean, in short, basically that's what it is. So what happens is, you came with the intention of stealing a few dollars here and there, you leave, you stole the money, you stole someone's property, and you end up killing somebody along the way. What does Shaytan now say? Inni bari'un mink. I didn't do nothing. I'm innocent of you, right? Now we all even heard in the other story where Shaytan says, وَقَالَ الشَّيْطَانُ لَمَّا قُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَعَدَكُمْ وَعْدَ الْحَقِّ وَوَعَدْتُكُمْ فَأَخْلَفْتُكُمْ. Allah gave you a true promise and I gave you a false promise. وَمَا كَانَ لِي عَلَيْكُمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ. I had no authority over you. إِلَّا أَنْ دَعَوْتُكُمْ فَاسْتَجَبْتُمْ لِي. Only that I called you and you answered. You know what Shaytan is? Shaytan reminds you of your homeboy who's instigating about a fight, and then when you get jumped, he's looking like, I don't got nothing to do with you, homie. That's what Shaytan. That's Shaytan right there. Like your homeboys, he don't want to talk to you like that, man. If I were you, I would have went there right now and gave him a blue eye on my mama. And instead of him saying, you know what, ignore him, don't worry about it, we're in a bad neighborhood, you don't want to get shot, we don't want to get killed, we don't want to get jumped on. No, he instigates and instigates. Now when you get jumped, and you're looking around like, man, what's what happened? Where the hell did he go? He's been instigated. This fight for the last, it reminds me of Don King, right? Y'all know who Don King is, the fight promoter? That's what Shaytan is. When it actually goes down, your friends are nowhere to be found. But they're instigating the fight though. So Shaytan is instigating, no, you can do it, you gotta do it, you should do it, don't worry about it, don't let nobody tell you what to do, right? And then when it actually when stuff hits the fan, you're looking for your homeboy. You got 3, 4, 5 people jumping on you, kicking you, still, whatever, punching you, and you're like, where's Muhammad? Where's Muhammad? Where is Muhammad? He's not here. That's Shaytan. That's called khudlan. Khudlan is when someone lets you down when you need them the most. Because Shaytan, what does he say? فَلَا تَلُومُونِي وَلُومُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Don't blame me, blame yourselves. مَا أَنَا بِمُصْرِخِكُمْ وَمَا أَنْتُمْ بِمُصْرِخِي. I have nothing to do with you. I can't help you, and you cannot help me, right? So, I want to, maybe inshallah ta'ala, I can end with this, and then we can open up the floor for, oh, it's 38. Wow.
No, that's the wrong time. It's up there.
It's the wrong time. It's not 6:38. It's actually 6:37. Woo. Jazakallah for that correction. May Allah reward you. He reminds me of the water boy on the football team, right? Okay. I want you guys to look at the contrast between Adam and between Shaytan. Shaytan disobeyed Allah in a way that differs drastically from the way Adam disobeyed Allah. Adam disobeyed Allah by doing something Allah told him not to do. This is tricky, pay attention. Adam disobeyed Allah by doing something that Allah told him not to do. Allah tells you not to steal, you steal. Allah tells you not to commit zina, you commit zina. Shaytan, however, disobeyed Allah by not doing what Allah told him to do. Listen, this is important. For everybody out here who's like, man, I don't hurt anybody, I just don't pray. Or the sister who says, I'm a good heart, I fast on my life, I just don't wear hijab. Listen, this is like really important. Adam disobeys Allah. Why? Because he did something Allah told him not to do. Shaytan disobeys Allah because he didn't do what Allah told him to do. They're different, right? They're different. You know what we do today when you tell a brother, you have to pray 5 times a day. Sister, you gotta wear hijab. That's mandatory. No one has ever had a difference of opinion. And then they say, brother, look, I'm nice. I'm kind-hearted, I help people out, I volunteer with my time, I go to the local community center, I fast the month of Ramadan, I don't hurt anybody, but my small problem is I just don't pray. You see what happened here? My only small problem is that I just don't pray. No, it's supposed to be said like this. Well, yes, I'm helpful, I volunteer with my time, I help people, I don't hurt people. But do you know what my biggest problem is? I don't pray, man. That's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's really supposed to be said. My biggest problem, not, my only problem is I just don't pray, like an itty-bitty tiny problem. No, that's huge. If you're not praying 5 times a day, that's huge. That's a big problem. So here, you're disobeying Allah Are you following Shaytan's disobedience or are you following Adam's disobedience? I can't hear you.
Shyetaan.
God.
Is that cool?
No.
No, that's not cool at all. But when you do something that's haram, Allah told you not to do it and you do it, and you repent, who are you following?
Adam.
Adam. Who would you rather be following, Adam or Shaytan?
Adam.
Adam. So this concept of, well, I do so many good things, but I just don't pray, no, that's still scary. Or I'm good at everything and I help people, but I just don't wear hijab. No, that's bad. Because the ulama, there's a legal maxim here that says, there's a legal maxim that says, تَرْكُ الْمَأْمُورَاتِ أَعْظَمُ جُرْمًا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ مِنْ فِعْلِ الْمُحَرَّمَاتِ. This is really serious. The fuqaha, especially the usuliyun, they say, to leave what Allah told you to do is more severe in the sight of Allah than doing what Allah told you not to do. I want to repeat that one more time. Like, I want us to get out of this, brother, I just don't pray. No, it ain't just, I just don't pray. Bro, you don't pray. That's a problem. And nobody's saying you're going to hell. We're just saying that it's severe. Like, get right with Allah. That's all we're saying. Talking about who's here to judge. I'm a Muslim and I judge according to Allah, according to the Quran. I'm Sunnah. That's all it is. All right? So what I'm trying to say is that the ulama, they said, to abandon what Allah told you to do is more severe in Islam than to do what Allah told you not to do. And for those of you who don't pray, you pray sometimes and you pray other times and you're like, oh, I'm too busy at the mall. I just want to open up a quick bracket before we end, inshallah ta'ala. When you pray, when you don't pray, you know what you're doing? You're ignoring Allah, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It's ignoring Allah, right?
Yeah.
Allah calls you, love, you don't answer because you're on the phone, you're on Facebook, you're talking to your boo, you're talking to your whatever, you're at the movies, okay. Ignoring someone once is not really, it's disrespectful, right? But how about disrespect, like ignoring someone twice? That's not good, right? That's even worse, right? Ignoring Allah 5 times a day, that's even more worse, right? That's even worse, right? Forgive me. But how about if you were calling me, we're walking down the street, and you, what's your name? Muhammad. What if Muhammad was walking, and I heard Muhammad, and Muhammad is saying, Yusuf, and I can hear him, but I'm still not responding. Would that be disrespectful? Would that be rude? What if Muhammad calls me a second time, and I don't answer? Is that disrespectful?
Yeah.
What if Muhammad calls me a third time, and I still don't answer? Is that rude?
Yes.
What if Muhammad calls me 5 times and I don't answer?
That's rude.
That's like really disrespectful, right? Okay. Would you take it personal?
Yes.
Would you take it to heart? Would you feel disrespected?
Yes.
Okay. Why is it that I take it to heart when people disrespect me, but I don't want Allah to take it to heart, metaphorically speaking, when I ignore Allah 5 times a day? 5 times a day during a week is how much? 35. So you get all uppity up, and if someone disrespects you, if someone doesn't answer you, that's all okay, right? But you'll turn around and disrespect and ignore Allah who's calling you 5 times a day, that's okay. Is that right? Is that fair?
No.
Is that fair?
No.
That's not fair. That's not fair at all. So we should not be a people who want to deal with Allah in such a way that we resent ourselves when we're dealt with the same way. If you feel like calling on someone else and they're intentionally ignoring you, if that's disrespectful, I really have no idea what we can properly say about someone who ignores the very one who has the biggest right over them, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So don't look at it like, oh, I just don't pray. No, you don't pray. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. So I want to end with this, inshallah ta'ala. How do we end? What do we do? Solutions? With the right. And you're not even gonna offer me some? Come on, you got me? Oh man, that's my boy right there. He's like, I Got you. Okay, look, we'll end by this, inshallah ta'ala, and then we can open up for a Q&A. I feel like I can't even talk anymore. How can we protect ourselves from the khutuwat of shaitan? Wallah, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. Do you know why? Because there are many people out there who are wolves, but they appear to you in sheep's clothing. They are wolves. They are looking for your money. They're looking for your attention, but they seriously and genuinely don't care about your akhirah. But they will come to you and appear so that they're worried about you, that they care for you. You know your friend? Your friend.
Yeah, friend.
Your true friend is someone who's going to remind you about your shortcomings. Your friend is not the person who's always going to pat you on the back. Girl, I'm down with you. I don't care what you do. No, not hell no. Or your homeboy, I'm down with you regardless of what you do. No, that loyalty only belongs to Allah. You're down completely with Allah. That's it. You're down with your boy, with your girl when they're in the right. But when they're in the wrong, I don't want to have anything to do with you. And the worst friend is when someone gives you advice and your friend comes later on. Don't worry about what that girl said about your hijab. She just accept you for you. Don't worry about what she said. Instead of actually encouraging you and saying, oh, my sister, I think what she said is right. I think she has a point. We have to just acknowledge that we're wrong. We have to kind of be better. We have to acknowledge that we're wrong. Or your friend, when someone gives you nasiha about salat, your friend comes to you and whispers, that's like a shaytan right there. Man, don't worry about what he said, bro. Just because what he thinks he's better, just because he prays 5 times a day? Yes, he is. Yes. He is better than you in that regard, yes. Why is that a surprise? Now people look at you like, what, the people who don't pray 5 times a day, they're just like those who don't pray 5 times a day? Where do people get that? I don't get that. What, she thinks she's better because she wears hijab? Yeah. In regards to hijab, yes. Like, why is that a surprise? Like, why do people make the stupidest conclusions and statements online? You're just like, look, I need to hire an assistant to rebuttal a lot of these things. Like, you think you're better because you wear hijab? She is better, yes, when she wears hijab, in the regards of hijab. But in regards to generosity, the sister who doesn't wear hijab might be more generous than the sister who wears hijab. But if we're talking about that, that's apparent, yes. A brother who prays 5 times a day is better in the sight of Allah in terms of prayer than the person who doesn't pray 5 times a day. Like, does that contradict the basic laws of mathematics? No. Why is LeBron James better than Luke Longley? Why? I mean, the proof is in the pudding. You can't come and tell me about a player who doesn't have any points, who barely makes 5 points a game, and you come to someone who's averaging 40 points a game, and you say, you can't say he's better just because he scores 40 points. Well, what's the basis? What's the criteria for judging who's better? All the players that you see are better. They're averaging crazy. Their stats are crazy. No, but brother, I think he's better. Even though he's only averaging 5 points a game, I think he's better. Like, who says that? But you know why we say these things? Because people say it. And we pick up on it and we just keep saying it. Alright? Again. Well, it's hard for me to continue this, but the point is, people who sound good, people who are patting you on the back, are not necessarily looking out for your best interest. That's what I'm trying to say. Revolve yourself around people who are going to remind you when you slip, when you fall short. You should have people around you who are going to wake you up. Brother, I think you're getting out of line. Sister, I think you're getting out of line. Your friend is not the person who's just going to make you feel good about yourself. That's literally a shaytan. Literally, that's a shaytan. And one last thing, don't convince yourself that you're the victim in each and every scenario. Is it possible that you were wrongfully done? someone disrespected you, and you are the victim possibly. But do not take that as a model in your life. Anything that happens, anytime things go south, you're all of a sudden what? I'm the victim. I'm helpless. I'm drowned. And someone looked at me the wrong way at the masjid and said, I gotta pull my pants up. Oh, I'm never coming back to the masjid again. Stop it. Grow up. Stop it. Stop it. Anyways, forgive me if I took too long or if I kind of went on a tangent. So, yeah, that's about it. That's kind of, just don't let Shyetaan construct these arguments, these beautiful camouflaged arguments to make you think that, oh, everybody is wrong. And maybe I'll end with this. You know when people want everybody else to change? My question for you is, sometimes it means so we can come. How do you come back from a land dip? Well, it depends what kind of dip it is. Okay. Maybe we should just take you in that. But one last thing, inshallah ta'ala. And for those of you who are looking for extra, we're probably going to pray around 7:10, inshallah ta'ala. So be patient. If you want to say that in Somali, you're more than welcome to do that too. Okay? If you want to.
You understand?
You understand? Okay, good. Well, we're step ahead, mashallah. I'll answer these questions. One thing is, do not allow Shyetaan to convince you that everybody in the world has to change, but you remain the way you are. That's a trick from Shyetaan. Shyetaan will convince you that the masjid needs to change its policies. The masjid needs to change the imam. The imam needs to change his tone. The imam needs to be a bit more calm. The people have to stop being aggressive. Everybody has to change. And Shyetaan is telling you, no, you don't change. Stay the way you are. Why should you change? You're this perfect dove. You're like an angel. Everybody else should change. But you, no, you got a basketball game to get to afterwards. Wear those shorts, even if you're out of show. Don't let nobody tell you what to do. Stop. That's victimhood. That's not acceptable. That brings out stench. This idea of everybody needs to change except me. No, perhaps if you were to change, maybe everything would kind of come in line later on. But do not allow Shyetaan to tell you everybody has to change their policy. Everybody has to do this and that. But as for me, I'm just not going to change. Let's just take these inshallah. Should a woman follow the policies of an institution regarding a dress code? It depends what we mean by that. I mean, you have to keep your hijab, you have to keep, like if I'm going to the gym and you say you have to wear shorts, I'm going to wear shorts, but okay, I have to wear shorts that are over my kneecap. I can't, wear like literally shorts that, we got some brothers who wear shorts that look like boxers. And when you give them da'wah again, you give them nasiha, it looks at you like you're just crazy. So follow, but no, don't take off your hijab. Don't take off your hijab, no. For example, in the medical field, as a surgical nurse or resident, should she wear the pants or follow the rule that restricts her from wearing the hijab in the operating room? I think this is actually being challenged right now in the UK. They're coming out with apparel and dress code that is fit for the women. In fact, I'm going to speak about this too because it says, is it haram for Muslim females to wear baggy pants that do not show off their figure? There are some Muslim scholars that say it's permissible, but it has to be loose. You guys know the Pakistani community, they have those pants that are really, really wide. Some ulama said that's permissible, but we're not talking about the jeans here that the minute you, for instance, if you sit like this, or if you put your leg like this, if this closes the body part, that's where the ulama said it's not permissible. For the hadith of, I believe it's Usama ibn Zayd, where he gave back the garment and he said, I'm afraid that this is going to disclose the body part of the woman. So I say, and inshallah, if you can challenge it, then why not? Where it's baggy, loose, and it doesn't show the form of the body. In Islam, for a woman to show the form of the body, that's not permissible. It's not permissible in terms of the hijab. Today's lecture, what should you say when you try to give nasihat to someone and they say, stay in your lane? What is the best response? See this right here? I got a video on YouTube, by the way. It's called Why Muslim Convenience Cards Don't Work. Why Muslim Convenience Cards Don't Work. It's on YouTube. And I wish I got this beforehand. I could have probably included it because I gave about 10 reasons. This right here, this is Shyetaan speaking. This right here, this is the ego speaking. Okay? When you come and tell someone, brother, this is wrong, this is right, immediately, oh, stay in your lane. But if you were to compliment that sister, she'd smile and say, oh, mashallah, jazakallah khair, thank you, sister. Why when I compliment you, you smile and it's receptive, and when I give you a nasiha and I say what you're doing is wrong, all of a sudden you become like this monster, this villain. Because when you compliment someone, you're judging them. You guys know that, right? When I tell you you look nice, I'm judging you. You know that, right? You guys know that? When I say, brother, you got a nice haircut, I'm judging you. You guys know that? No man in a corner. You want a cup of tea, bro? You want a cup of tea? I should bring you like a cup of tea or something, right? Doritos, shisha, you know? Yeah. Stay in your lane. By the way, sister, this is nothing. This is the ego and the shaitan. Remember earlier? That's a similar saying, you know, judge, don't worry to judge, worry about yourself. That's kind of in the same category. They don't want to assume responsibility. You get da'wah for them. Look, all Islam is asking of you is to give da'wah to the best of your ability. Don't be predictable. If she says stay in your lane, you don't have to say, oh, but sister, please come back. Please just listen to me. She doesn't want to hear it. Kick rocks. Really, I know this is not right to say, but kick rocks. You don't want to hear it? So you don't have to stay right after that. Okay. It says here, Shyetaan takes a hold of the hearts of the believers. What should a believer do to break the cycle of addiction of sins? Any advice or knowledge regarding the best way to do that? Please answer for the youth. Can females and males be friends in Islam? What is your dalil? What is your dalil? I like that. I mean, in terms of like sinning, we all sin. We all sin. But there are two different types of people in the world. People who outwardly sin and they don't care what anybody thinks. People who sin in their own four walls. Now the Prophet ﷺ, he says, كُلُّ أُمَّةٍ وَأَفْعَلِ الْمُجَاهِرِينَ. All of my ummah will be pardoned on judgment day except those who expose their sins in public. You know, people say, is your sin better because it's in private? Yes. What, your sin is better because it's in private? Yes. It is. You know what? Because it's between me and my ashamed about it. I don't want to bring my stench and my wretched smell out to the public. I don't want you to see it. It's between me and Allah. It doesn't make what I'm doing right. But I have a sense of shame about it, and I'm keeping it between me, my Lord, and my four walls. Not like someone who wants to commit havoc and do whatever they want in public, and then when someone addresses them, they get all uppity up and arrogant, right? So make your dua, change your friendships, right? Don't feel like you have to be loyal to certain friends. Let me try to go about this logically, if I can construct this argument. Some people are looking at, like some people say, Sheikh, is porn haram? Give me a verse from the Quran. That didn't exist. Videos and stuff like that didn't exist. I want the word verbatim in the Quran for you to convince me, Sheikh. I can't really convince you because zina is haram. That's it. The zina is haram, but watching porn, that word verbatim is not there. Okay. Women and men in a normal world, because now you have men and men, women and women. Men and women in a normal world are attracted to each other. Men are more attracted to women than women are attracted to men. And I know this sounds so unconventional and so different than the routine that you hear on the media and in college campuses. And it takes so much it takes so little for a man to be distracted by a woman, but it takes so much for a woman to be distracted by a man. Let me repeat that. It takes so little for a man to be distracted by a woman, but it takes so much for a woman to be distracted by a man. Okay? You don't believe me? Okay. What does Allah say in Surah Al-Yamaani? زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ. Made beautiful for the people, for the men, is the desires of women. Look, again, don't blame me. This is what the perfect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ. Beautified for men is the desires of women. So if zina, for example, is haram, if committing fornication is impermissible, then the way to zina, the way to it becomes impermissible. Because when women and men get together, I'm not talking about in a work setting, I'm talking about them being friends. Them being friends going out, that is the footsteps of Shyetaan. Inevitably, slowly but surely and gradually, you find yourself committing zina. Zina, is it haram? Huh?
Yes.
So the sabil to zina becomes haram. So if zina is muharram, it's impermissible, the way in the footsteps to committing zina, that in itself becomes haram. And you know what's funny? I know when you guys look at me, you're like, okay, this is just another sheikh, another mullah who's talking about whatever, il parle n'importe quoi. Okay, very good. Steve Harvey was asked, and this is a problem that we have. I can sit here until the cows come home, and I give you all the adilla, why it's not permissible. But Steve Harvey, it takes for him to have an interview, to make an interview, and that interview lasts not more than 3 minutes. And a woman asks him, she doesn't ask him, because he wouldn't be able to answer. She asks him, all right, Muhammad, we were laughing about this earlier. Can women and men be friends? Do you know what the non-Muslim Steve Harvey said? The big homie? Do you know what he said? He said, I don't have any female friends. This is what he said. Now, when I say it, it's usually accepted with so much resistance. It's met with resistance. But why? And it doesn't make sense. Me and Muhammad have been going to the coffee shop for the past year, and we're just friends, and if you only knew. If you only knew. So Steve Harvey, when he says it, and it circulates, the Muslims look at that and say, man, I love Islam, mashallah, I like that. See, even Steve Harvey believes in gender segregation, right? But why when I say it, and my voice is literally dying out, I have to yell and scream and say it's not permissible, and you're still like, whatever, heard that before. But when Steve Harvey says it, you're like, oh, man, I love Islam. Islam is so beautiful. Look at what Steve Harvey said. Why do I have to scream for 10 hours and it doesn't have any weight? But Steve Harvey says that all of a sudden you're a proud Muslim and you don't want to see Ali anymore and you believe in... How do you know Shyetaan gets close to you? When you are about to fall into sins. Look, Jama'ah, Allah is not expecting for us to be angels. Allah wants us to do our best not to fall in sin. This is what Allah is asking. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Hadith Qudusi, He says, وَالَّذِي نَفْسُ مُحَمَّدٍ بِيَدِهِ لَوْ لَمْ تُذْنِبُوا لَذَهَبَ اللَّهُ بِكُمْ وَلَأَتَى بِقَوْمٍ آخَرِينَ يُذْنِبُونَ فَيَسْتَغْفِرُونَ اللَّهَ فَيَغْفِرُ اللَّهُ لَهُمْ. Allah in the Hadith Qudusi, He says, the Prophet says, by He whom my soul is in His hands, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said that, if you guys did not sin, Allah would have brought another people who would commit sins, and Allah would forgive their sins. They would ask for Allah to forgive them. So Allah knows that Allah is not expecting for us to be perfect. But don't be an arrogant sinner. Don't be an arrogant sinner. For all you brothers here, when you're bringing music, gangster music, right? Shorty and he's got it on me and I got the house for her and all that garbage. Don't bring that garbage to the masjid. If you're going to be a sinner, have some hayat. If you're going to smoke, don't smoke in front of the masjid. If you're going to listen to music, whatever it is, don't come in front of the masjid and you're waiting for a brother to come out and you're just chilling there like this, like you're just looking like, and everybody's looking at you like, can you turn that down? And you're just arrogant. You're defying everybody and anybody, right? No, you're going to come to the masjid, turn that garbage down. Just have respect for the masjid. And then when you leave, you can put it on blast, right? Your 12s or 24s, where they have now. What do you guys put in the trunks? I remember growing up, we had 12s like, that's what you just hear the trunk. You don't hear the music. All you hear is, That's what you hear. You don't even hear the lyrics anymore. Right? And now they probably have like 24s and 36s, right? You have the ribs right now. The ribs are bigger than the car. It's ugly. It's exaggerated, right? So what I'm trying to say is when you're going to sin, don't be proud of your sinning. Have remorse. That's the first step to making tawbah. Why does Allah cover up? Why does Allah cover up your sins? Is this out of mercy? Of course. Of course. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will bring people on Judgment Day. And this is one of the beauties of acknowledging that this is one of the many beauties of acknowledging that what you're doing is wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Judgment Day, He'll bring you forward and He'll say, do you remember going to so-and-so's house and sneaking out of the house and getting in the car and you told your mom you're going to the Duxi, but you went with Aisha and you guys went to the park and then you guys went for a walk and then you guys went back home and you got her home before Fajr and the mother thought she was at the Duxi doing PM lane, but she was with you. Do you remember that? The person who practiced acknowledging his or her downfalls in the dunya will say, yes, Ya Allah. Allah will say, I conceal this sin for you in the dunya, and I shall conceal it for you today. But if you're a person who you want everybody in their mama to see your sins, hey y'all, I'm watching this Rated X movie, and then you share the link and you want everybody to see it. You don't share that garbage with everybody. You watch that and you be quiet. Don't be telling the homies about that. Man, you gotta watch this episode actually on the real. And there's nothing about half-naked women on there. Bro, watch that, be quiet, have your popcorn, and ask Allah for istighfar. You share that with everybody. Talking about, bro, sending a text message, you gotta see this, man. This is just dope. No, that's stupid. That's stupid, real talk. Why does Allah? Okay. Say someone is carrying the guilt of sin. Yeah, you should carry the guilt of sin. That's good. You have to carry the guilt of sin. Because we don't know if Allah is going to forgive us or not. So carrying the guilt of sin is good. Carrying the guilt of sin, what should the person do to help that magnifying feeling of the heart? No. Feeling, Ibn Mas'ud, he used to say, if a hypocrite does something, commits a sin, he does something atrocious, you know what he does? He just does like this. I don't wear hijab. It's not the end of the world. I don't pray. Oh. It's just, but the believer, when they commit a sin, they feel as if a mountain is going to crumble over them. You know when you come to Jummah and someone tells you about, bro, why don't you come to Jummah? You're just like, bro, ain't a big deal. Just calm down. That's a sign of hypocrisy. But when you sit there and you contemplate, you're like, well, I know, make dua for me. I love people like that. I respect people like that. Who are doing wrong, but they acknowledge that what they're doing is wrong. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. How do you come back from the Iman dip? Your Iman going up and down. الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم وإذا تليت عليهم آياته زادتهم إيمانا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون. Your Iman going up and down, that's normal. That's normal. When you're here, you want to be with the brothers, you want to be making salat, you want to leave here, you want to make Quran, you want to be a memorize of Quran. The minute you get in the car, and you put in that R&B CD, or you put in that hip hop, or you're listening to music and you start bopping your head like this, oh, okay, it's my jam right here, it's gone. You go from one to be a godly person to now you want to be someone who wants to be the next famous rapper. You want to be the next DJ Khaled. So, what I'm trying to say is for you, your Iman, to go up and down, that's normal. And guess what? That is a blessing from Allah, that you even acknowledge that your Iman is going down. That's a blessing from Allah. That your Iman goes up and down. It's beautiful that you acknowledge that. I experienced that. Look, don't think that when you guys have speakers that come out of town, they're living on this. Their Iman is always, sometimes we don't feel like praying with it. Sometimes we don't feel like praying at the masjid. This happens. Don't feel like I'm talking to you guys like I'm walking on clouds and I'm just like, whoa. No. We all fall short. We all get lazy. It happens. What would your advice be to me as a female student of Islamic knowledge who is struggling with persistency and lack of role models, Muslim female scholars? There's one Muslim female scholar I advise you to really get acquainted with and familiarize yourselves with. Her name is Aisha Wazwas, out of Minnesota. Dr. Aisha Wazwas. Here's the thing, if you want to be a female scholar, don't compromise your Iman for anybody. You want to be a female scholar, I encourage that. That's urged, that's needed. And guess what, sister? Here's your task. You're telling me that you're having a hard time finding a female role model. Maybe your task is to be that role model for other sisters. You see what I mean? I know it's hard, and we're looking for role models, but maybe your job is that you can be the role model. 5 minutes, we'll begin, inshallah.
5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow, so please, you're in Salat, you want to make Salat, I saw this video on Twitter where this guy was telling a Muslim brother, if you like a girl, go to her father, or even talking to the girl. In my opinion, in this day and age, it's weird. I don't know the guy, he goes to my father without letting me know, so then what is the right way to meet someone? May Allah forgive me if this is wrong. No, that's right. May Allah reward you. Thank you for even asking. I think it takes courage for women to ask, because that's a good thing, I think. Can Muslim women wear jeans and pants? I don't find that to be permissible. I'm going to answer this question. Wearing jeans and pants, it's not permissible. Especially the tight jeans, even if you're wearing like a skirt that comes to your knees, because the body part is not supposed to be tight. It's not supposed to disclose the body part, whether it's the knee, the hand. So if you wear a hijab, I see hijab sisters like short sleeve shirts. I'm not judging them like, oh my God, that's wrong, right? So no, it's not permissible, unless of course we're talking about the Pakistani pants where it's really, really wide and it doesn't disclose the body part. My brother who's looking to meet a sister, I tell a lot of the sisters, if a man is serious, if you do something silly before marriage, that brother's probably going to hold it against you. He's not going to look at it like, oh, this is my Muslim Bonnie and Clyde. She's going all out for me. She's sneaking out of the house from me. We're meeting up behind her parents' back. That's not good, because later on, that's going to catch up to you. Well, she did this before. How can I trust her now? Don't do that. Start it on front ground, and for any brother who's looking to propose to a sister, make sure you see her out in public first. Don't go to a man and say, I heard you got a good daughter, and then you look at her like, oh, this ain't popping. No, never mind. You know what I mean? So go to the father first. It doesn't sound right, but I think that's respectful for a man to go, because Allah says, what to buyuta min abwabiha, come to the houses from the door. Quickly, is it haram for Muslim girls to wear baggy pants? Okay, we talked about that. Is there such thing as verbal zina? What is zina? What is the punishment of not praying? Okay. The first thing that we will be asked about on Judgment Day is praying. أول ما يحاسب عليه العبد يوم القيامة الصلاة. Right? The first thing that we will be asked about, zina is zina in the punishment in the afterlife, in the barzakh. The people who commit zina, it will be a tanur. A tanur, if we have a funnel, it's going to be like this. If you can cut this, imagine this piece is cut out here. أسفله ضيق وأعلاه واسع. The bottom, it's just water. It's okay. Yeah. So it'll be like this. It'll be like this, forgive me. People will be at the bottom, the zunats, people who commit fornication in the dunya. And of course, these people who don't repent, right? What happens is you'll be at the bottom, the fire will be blazing, but there's an open hole at the top. So you're trying to make it out of there, but every time you're trying to make it out of there, you end up falling back in the blazing fire. So committing zina, Allah says, don't commit zina. And I'm not going to lie, why would anybody want to commit zina today? Empty question, it's the easiest question ever. Why would someone want to commit zina? With all these diseases out there, why do you want to commit zina? Syphilis, gonorrhea, HPV, HTD, HIV, QTR. You have so many diseases you can't even pronounce anymore, right? Why would you want to commit zina? Get married. And for a lot of the young men here, for a lot of the parents, talk to your kids about marriage. You have to talk to your kids about marriage. I know many kids back in Minnesota, I'll end with this inshallah. Sheikh, I want to get married, but my mom is adamant about me first finishing school. That's not permissible. When the daughter wants to get married and the parent is saying no, that's not permissible in Islam. Allah is worried about keeping our children in the state of being chaste and afaf. They're not worried about us making sure they get their degrees. We want them to get their degrees. We want them to be educated, but at the expense of losing their iffah, I don't think that's a good exchange. I don't think that's a good compromise. Oh, worry about your school. Okay, are you worried about how many boyfriends or girlfriends they're having in school until they get that PhD or master's? Or are you just acting like, oh no, they're not going through anything. I'm sure they're okay. They were raised at the sea. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, so I can't believe Abdullah ibn Mas'ud even said this. You guys know who Abdullah ibn Mas'ud is? The greatest companion. He says, لو لم يبقى من أجلي إلا 10 أيام وأعلم أني أموت في آخرها ولي طول النكاح فيهن لا تزوجت مخافة الفتنة. See the Sahaba, the one thing I can appreciate about the Sahaba, they didn't have this artificial, superficial realness. They kept it real. They understood they're human beings and they can succumb to the delights and to the fitna of this world. He said the following, I'll translate. He says, if I knew I had only 10 days in this world and I had the ability to get married, I would have gotten married out of the fear of falling into zina. Take that how you want. Take that how you want. Are you a Muslim if you don't wear hijab? Yes. Of course you're a Muslim. But you're flirting with kufr if you say, oh, hijab is not mandatory. This is where it becomes dangerous. So what's worse in the sight of Allah? I'm a Muslim person. What's worse in the sight of Allah? The sister who doesn't wear a hijab and acknowledge that she's fallen short of the commandments of Allah, or the sister that doesn't wear hijab and she's out there arguing with everybody and anybody trying to prove to them that hijab religious obligation is nothing more than cultural. I got a PhD in philosophy. What is more severe in the sight of Allah? The first one is sinning. They're committing a sin. The second one is kufr. To make something that Allah has ordained haram, that is called blasphemy. That can potentially take you out of Islam. So if you're not wearing hijab, the last thing you should be doing is arguing about how it's just cultural and it's not mandatory. What is your advice for someone who wakes up sad, someone in the middle of their deen and decides, okay, people say, it's the last one, people say fast to avoid falling into zina. Well, people don't fast all the time. What is another way to? Okay, fasting is going to help you. Fasting will help you. But within time, you're going to do so much fasting, that's not going to be the cure at the end. The cure is marriage. The cure is marriage. Parents, last piece of advice. Your hijab is beautiful. MashaAllah. That is just beautiful. Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
If you want to contact me, you have a YouTube channel. Yes, you can email me or you can look up my lectures. So you can email me at Yusuf@tabsiraproject.com. YOUSSEF @Tabsira TABSIRA project, and then you can find me on the internet. I mean, you can find me. So I think that's it. So parents, get this out of your get. If your child is going to college and you know they have a boyfriend, you are a failure as a parent. I know this sounds harsh, forgive me, I'm working on it. If you know your daughter has a boyfriend in college, but you're okay with her because all you're worried about is her getting her bachelor's or her master's, that's a failure. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala entrusted us as parents to make sure that our kids remain in the state of iffah, that they remain pure and they don't engage in sexual intimacy until they are married. That is our first objective. Everything comes later. And combining school with marriage is not kufr. You get me? Going to school and being married is okay. It's too sarcastic or too rude or too aggressive. It wasn't meant. This is just my nature of my Arab side. I get carried away a little bit. It's definitely not for my mom's side, that's for sure. I think it's my Arab side. That the Arab, they get really excited, right? Anyways, if I said anything that was correct, it's from Allah. Other than that, it's from Shyetaan. Keep me, please, in your dua. And I ask the best for all of you. هذا والله أكبر وعلى السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.